Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This is Jesse Heller, the Marketing Director at Business Systems Group. You're joining our webinar today with Altec. We have Perry Lynn from Altec. She's going to be taking us through DocLink and talking to us a little bit about document management for Sage 100, specifically what's my return on investment. So we are really excited to have Perry Lynn here presenting with us today. Just real quick, in case you are not aware, Business Systems Group, we are a longtime Sage partner. We're based in Los Angeles and have offices throughout the United States, in Texas and Pennsylvania. And we have a team that is mostly based in LA, but we have people scattered throughout the United States as well that help us to support our Sage business and our CRM business. We're also a Sugar CRM partner, and we do all kinds of ERP, CRM, and accounting, marketing automation, and custom solutions, implementations, and development work. We're most known in the Sage space for our Sage 100 integration that we built with Sugar CRM, which brings a true cloud CRM application to Sage 100 users, as well as our suite of Sage 100 products, which you may know a little bit about. And if not, you can check those out on our website, FayeBSG.com. So if you have any questions through today's presentation, feel free to put them in the chat box. I'll get those over to Perry Lynn as they come in. And with that, Perry Lynn, I'm going to pass it over to you.
That sounds great. Thank you, Jesse. Well, hello, everyone. So digital transformation, right? It's happening, and we all really need to be on the forefront of what this wave is all about. And it's about technology helping companies manage your data and your documents and all of your processes better. It's really about taking the friction out of those internal processes. Think about paper moving from one employee to another. And it's about streamlining the paper and data entry processes and pave the way to really achieve all those strategic initiatives, whether it's about growing without adding headcount, really optimizing employee engagement, right? Those are some of the strategic initiatives that I'm seeing happening right now. So in the world of document management, we really tend to think first about the document that precedes the process, right? But at the end of the day, it's really going to be about connecting the paper with the right people, with the right process, and all the right data. So DocLink is the product that Altec brings to the marketplace. And DocLink has the ability to connect the right people at the right time to the right documents to effectively do all that critical work. And it really is about streamlining the operations and giving back control of documents and data, and of course having complete visibility and control of that transaction. It's also about delivering documents outside the organization, whether it's maybe to partners, vendors, or customers, and allowing those same people to have kind of self-service access to a portal, which we actually call the web client. And we'll be talking about that more today as well. And lastly, DocLink is all about completely fulfilling your enterprise-wide document management initiative. It's all about capturing documents, right, in the most fastest way possible, securely allowing those the right people to have access to those documents, and really streamlining the process of executing a transaction. So, quick little quiz for you, or poll, and we'll see if what we have coming in actually matches what the trend is that we're seeing. So right now here on the screen, you have 3 buckets, right? And I'm curious to know, so respond back to Jesse in the chat feature, and let's see if we have the most of you today storing documents in filing cabinets, right? That's pretty traditional. It's how most companies right now are storing documents, which is kind of a beautiful thing because that's what we're helping to eliminate, right? Some of you may have already made the paperless leap and are storing documents in a network file share. So just chat back, let us know if you're using a network file share. And today we're going to be talking about some of the concepts of the software application DocLink, right? So that you'll know how you're able to easily eliminate the filing cabinets and streamline those business processes. So Jesse, question for you. Most companies respond back with filing cabinets. Is that kind of what you're seeing from the chat box?
We do have a good mix of filing cabinets, majority, and then there is a few that are also doing a combination of network and file share.
Of the two, okay, good. Well, so let's just talk about that for one more moment. So one of the, I applaud you all that have gone to the network file share because you're going with that paperless initiative. The biggest thing that I hear from folks is that even in the network file share, while you've gone paperless, it's sometimes very difficult to find the documents, or if the links got broken somehow, some way, then it makes it very difficult. So we're still looking at software to kind of unify the people in the process and the data. All right, so let's now next talk about why companies also need to go paperless and some of the common business issues that they're faced with. So my question back for you, so think about these kinds of things. Storage, right? We're going to be exploring all the different kind of cost savings related to storage, and we'll look at what the costs are and some of the savings. We're also going to look at inefficient business processes, and this is really the manual movement of documents, right, around the organization for the purpose of approval, right? So think about AP automation, right, and routing invoices automatically, you know, and electronically through a business flow, right? We want to be able to allow the right people to have the right access based on security, right, to the right documents. And there's also some implications on the audit process, right? So there's a nice time savings there. And time savings can translate into cost savings as well. Everyone wants, right, an application that is deeply integrated with the ERP, right, or Enterprise Resource Planning, or Sage 100, right? So you know, and you'll feel comfortable that DocLink is deeply integrated with Sage. Why is that important? Because number one, it's been vetted by a third party. You don't have to worry about that. It's also allowing us to repurpose data that gets captured or stored in Sage already. And all of these pieces kind of culminate in being able to achieve a really strong, nice return on investment, okay? All right, so next I want to bring you through what is DocLink, and we'll just set kind of like some basis level of understanding, and then we'll go into those ROI components. So here we go. When I think about DocLink, I think about it truly as an enterprise-wide solution. And remember, we start with what is the document, right? So over here on the left, we're going to go left to right, where we have many, many different methodologies in order to capture documents. Why? Because let's take an invoice. Invoices come in the most traditional way of hard copy, so we need to scan it, right, to make it electronic. Other times we have invoices coming in via email, so we don't want to have to print and scan. We want to grab that image right from email and push it over into workflow to start the processing. There are going to be other times where you simply want to do an electronic print. So I won't go into all of these, but just know that there's many different methodologies because we want to do capturing in the most efficient way. Once the documents are in DocLink, now we can actually physically do something with it. We can either deliver it out based on a schedule, like an AR invoice, right, out to a customer, maybe along with a signed delivery report or some other kind of T&Cs or marketing information. However, more commonly, we're going to be putting a document through a business process, traveling between employees, generally for the purposes of approval or coding or communication. And then we're going to be taking that document and data and moving it into Sage 100, right, for automatic AP data entry. And then lastly, we have documents available for search and retrieval. And the nice thing here is that we've got many different ways for people to view their documents, right, in Sage, directly on the Sage windows, in DocLink, via the web, via a mobile app. So nice ways of just getting access to documents. And that's good just from a usability perspective. All right. did you know, this is pretty powerful, so I hope you have your scratch pads out so you can do some kind of like rapid calculations, but 60% of organizations are able to see a full return on investment in about 12 months. Sometimes it can be as aggressive as 9 months, sometimes it's 18 months, but the 12 months is kind of your ideal time frame of looking for an ROI on your project, right? And there you go, 77% are achieving it within 18 months. So the ROI is there. It's going to be about looking at your particular business processes and what are the financial implications of each step of the process. Now, we're going to focus on AP because that's where most companies start. I think it's simply because, number one, it is a paper-intensive process with heavy paper, right? And there are many people involved in the process, not only accounts payable, but approving managers. Plus, it also has the implication of all of those filing cabinets that a lot of companies are still working within. So the big thing here is that we want to be able to help streamline the process, and by doing that, really get into a time savings, element, which has an impact on cost. So breathe your eyes down here, and we're looking at this compare and contrast. Ardent Partners is actually a research organization. They are the ones that did this analysis, and they basically came up with the findings of, would you like to, apply AP automation and drive down cost savings? So take a look at these stats. And this is really just more on a rhetorical question. We'll get into some more Q&A in a moment, but AP automation is all about driving significant, time savings. Okay, all right. There is another piece of the pie here, and that is looking at digital transformation across all areas of the company. So even though we continue to go back to AP automation as a strong place to begin, everywhere in the organization, people are touching paperwork, and by having easy access to documents, it would make their jobs much easier. So there are implications, again, AP, in the accounting manager, and there's certain things that are going to be benefiting to the accounting manager. AR can be helpful in going paperless. Human resources, right? The chief financial officer, they're really more focused on the strategic initiatives of the company. And on the CIO, they're really looking at, is this a sound technology move for the company? Okay, so let me know if you have to calculate a specific ROI for your company, then let's have a chat. We can talk about your particular business processes and kind of some of the financial implications. Plus, I have some calculators, and we'll be able to share those with you as well. All right, so you ready for the calculation? Let's get into this part. I love this part because I think it's what gets me really kind of excited and all fired up about document management, because I do think that it solves very, very specific, tangible business issues in the company. And one of the major ones is that companies are just plagued with simply too much paper. So you can consider these particular elements, right? Now, in my ideal world, I'll have you jotting these down on a little paper, right? How much space, right, are you spending right now, on storage or filing cabinets? There are going to be a couple different elements here, right? You'll have your square footage in the office. For those of you that may be in the manufacturing or have a warehouse space, some people are storing it on, in those cages out on the warehouse. Some people are actually storing documents in off-site storage rental facilities. So you can already start seeing, right, where are you spending money on storing your documents? That's the number one thing. Storage expenses, right? So those are all related to not only the month-to-month storage fee, but also we're talking about a time element. What about that year-end process of packaging up the documents and sending them off? Or if you're getting an audit, you now need to retrieve documents, the retrieval fee. So there's going to be costs related to that. Interestingly enough, and I have this interesting little lost documents orange box down here at the bottom. There is a time element, and this can be looked at in many different ways as well. So number one, really, how much time are you spending on looking for lost documents? However, there's also an audit implication here that if you are audited, and you're not able to produce the documents that you are responsible to produce, are you at risk of getting a penalty? Those can be significant. They may or may not apply, but I'm trying to kind of illuminate for you all the different areas that you can look for ROI or start doing kind of a roughed out calculation. So either you as the executive member can kind of make a decision, or if you're on the team, then you can actually bring this to your management team. All right, printing costs. So we all have those copiers, right? The multifunction devices, most of them are going to be under some kind of contract. And so you have these elements of the copier contract, printing cartridges, the paper fees. So there's all sorts of costs under that umbrella as well. And then, of course, if you are still mailing documents outside the organization, then, routing documents if you're multi-location, routing documents through an inter-office mail, then there's cost savings in those particular buckets as well, okay? All right, next part, process bottlenecks. This is going to be likely more of a soft dollar calculation for you, but depending on how that backs into your strategic initiatives can quickly become a hard dollar cost calculation. So number one is approval delays. When you really sit back and consider how you're driving documents through your approval process, what are those implications, right? Number one is that it's time consuming for the physical employee to move the documents. Maybe they're writing on the face of it or applying a signature, and now they have to package it up and send it off to the next person. So how much time are they spending today doing that, right? That's soft dollar. But if you could streamline the process, and the time that they were spending pushing paperwork is now, really spent on their core business obligation, what's that going to mean to the company? Okay. Manual filing. Anyone doing, the historical staple, the packet, the invoice, the check copy, any other backup documentation together, and off it goes in the filing cabinet. That process completely goes away with DocLink. And so any time that you're spending manual filing, refiling, searching, retrieving completely goes away. Audits. The value with DocLink is that you have all documents stored electronically, and you are able then to have easy access. So there is a time saving as it relates to your annual audit. Okay. And then these other little green boxes here, it's about visibility. And these are also time savings, because if you don't know where an invoice is in the process, then it makes it very hard for you to have control of the transaction. This really has implications related to early pay discounts and trying to avoid those late fees. So if you can raise visibility of where that invoice is, you can drive it through the process faster. Okay, so we're going to go into some of the calculations in a deeper way. Some people like to see information at a high level, so I'm kind of first explaining it to you at the high level and some of the ideas and the concepts, and other people want to kind of see it broken out. So we're going to break out some of these costs for you, and then also, this would probably be a good time. I'm going to remind you again later on, but if you want me to send you an ROI calculator, then I have a couple tools that might be very helpful for you in facilitating your ROI calculation. So chat back to Jessie and just simply say ROI and put in your email address, and then Jessie will know that we're gonna, we have an action item to send out the ROI calculator. So ROI calculator in your email, or just ROI and your email address, and then we can do that later. All right. Offsite storage, square footage, and the time savings, right? So this is what this one looks like. And printing and storing as well. So I did this analysis based on our existing customers. So these numbers are real. They are actuals, right? I'm not thinking about them in a box. You know, they are actuals from our customer base. So paper supplies, right? Some people, your eyes may completely glaze over because you don't need the details. That's okay, right? But for those of you that want the details, this is how the calculations can come about, right? So we're looking at the number of boxes of paper per year times the cost of the box. And I did a very, very modest, cost savings calculation here at 50%, right? Now, that might not be too startling at first glance, but we're also wanting to combine all of these initiatives into one master calculation. And so some people will get a return on investment in just storage alone, or just printing, or just time savings, and other people will need to look at the entirety of the calculation. All right, copy machine, right? What can you do in terms of shaving off savings on your copy machine contract? Filing cabinets. Here we're looking at, right, the square footage, times the cabinet, and what that equals on an annual basis. Time to reproduce documents. So someone can't remember, getting an invoice for approval, and now you need to get a copy to resend out to them. That can be quite complicated, right? And then, of course, your offsite storage fees. In offsite storage fees, the goal here would be over time you'd be able to eliminate them entirely. So that's always nice. Or you can always do a back scanning project. All right. Would it be worth it enough if you're able to save 11 grand, in printing and storing? Right? If we're looking at that, you're probably looking at the 18 months if this is the only calculation, right? To balance this against the cost of the solution. Now that's a very modest. Let's go back there. The other thing I want to do here for you is to look at extremely modest savings, and then not so extreme, but in the modesty area. So we have a Midwest manufacturer, and it was startling that they were spending $85,000 annually, every single year, in storage and retrieval charges. So for some people, this storage fee is going to be, explosive. And if they can save that annually, right, year over year, it's extremely compelling. All right, let's go into retrieval costs. Filing, copying, searching, right? Did you know that it costs about $20 just to file one document? So you want to do another quick calculation, do $20 times how many invoices, right, and checks and purchase orders, right, you're doing on a monthly basis. How about $120 to simply retrieve a document, right? How many times are you retrieving a document? And then also, it's $220 to have to recreate a document. So this is based on the time it takes, right, to actually, get another document reproduced. So these numbers can be very, very compelling depending on how you're looking at it as an organization. All right, I love these. All right, consider the savings, accessing and sharing your retrieval costs. So you can look at these numbers, right? The AP clerk, 18 bucks an hour, times 8 hours a week saved, times 3 people in AP, right? Maybe you only have one person in AP, right? What about a department manager? And if we were able to even just save 1 hour for a department manager, you've got 10 employees, take a look at that from an annual savings. And you can kind of see at the VP level, right? All we're suggesting is that they save 15 minutes, right? Just 15 minutes, right? How about the cost of an audit? Right? So all of these fees together, when we look at what is the time across the organization that people are looking at, can be very, very meaningful. All right, so would it be worth it? It's just with accessing and sharing, you could save $37,000 on an annual basis, right, with the application of technology. I mean, I think it's yes. And then these are the other elements that I think is critical to look at. If you can save a little bit of time in accounts payable and then have those people going after, negotiating some early pay discounts, what would that mean to the organization? And have you done a calculation to say how many late fees as an organization have you paid, right? And what would it mean if you could eliminate those entirely, or minimize them? Right? So all of these different areas really become important in looking at streamlining the overall business processes. Approval costs, all right? Routing a document for an approval, or looking at inter-office mailing, or doing it via courier or FedExpress fees. I've even had companies that do a physical drive, right? Driving around to various offices. So the question for you is, how are you routing documents for approval now? And what are the costs related to those approvals, right? Here we have another, explanation of savings. Right? Again, very, very meaningful, in terms of the overall time savings across the organization in going into an electronic workflow. Here's another extreme example for you, right? And you're probably somewhere in between these two. It's probably not 35. It's also probably not 150, right? You're probably somewhere in the middle in terms of what the time savings can be for you. So this particular company had 46 locations. So that's an extreme example, right? And they were about sending documents, invoices that would arrive at the restaurant, and they would forward those up to corporate. So maybe you have something similar going on in your organization. But for this company, they were able to save $150,000 annually in shipping and courier charges. Now, that was only that one particular segment, of their calculation. It begs the question, what are you doing in those particular areas? This is a great company. They're called Smart City out of Florida, right? And they were able to achieve 90% reduction in the invoice processing time. And this was huge. So they also had some storage savings. I think for them it was about $18,000 in terms of off-site storage savings that they were able to get. But they're delighted. They don't have any physical storage for invoices anymore. Their time process is greatly reduced. Now they're able to grow the company without adding additional headcount, and also serve constantly as a reference for it. So it's just really, really nice in terms of, sharing their particular story. All right, what's our summary, right? So what did we really talk about so far? We've got cost of printing and storing, right? Cost of accessing and sharing documents, right? The cost of a manual workflow. So all of those combined are looking at about $84,960 annually, right? Wouldn't that be worth spending a fraction of that on technology to streamline processes, have easier access to documents, right? And then you'll have a nice savings year over year. All right, so remember I talked about the ROI calculator? I have a couple different versions. So here's one version, and I actually did this. It's kind of just my own version of an ROI calculator, but it's just really to help you kind of look at who are the people in the organization. So I'm looking over here, column A on the far left-hand side. You have accounting people, right, the AP clerks, department managers, and VP. So if you were to get this calculator, you can certainly insert the titles, right? What's their average, dollar per hour, right? What do you think, just even as a guesstimate, how many hours do you think that they would save per week? You can use my calculations if you want, or if you have a better idea, you can certainly influence that. 4 to 8 working weeks, times the number of employees, and that's where you're getting those savings, right? So this really depends on two different things, kind of concepts are going through my mind simultaneously. So as an organization, there's going to be a small segment of you that will actually have to physically calculate an ROI. I've been with Ultech DocLink for 11 and a half years, and I think for the most companies, they want to know the ROI when they're in an education kind of mode, when they're trying to determine if document management is something that they should pursue as a company. And then they go through this exercise of the ROI. We also help them with a quote. We can look at the business processes and say where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And then a budget is set for a future purchase. That's the most time I see an ROI calculated. So if you want this calculator, just email Jessie, right, in the chat box, ROI and your email, and then we'll make sure that we get this calculator out to you. I have about 3 different versions, so happy to send them all. You know, I think it's really about sharing information so that you can, you know, critically look at your business processes and make a determination if document management is the right direction for you and what the impact is going to be on your organization. So I think that's very exciting. All right, so here's my slide to appeal to those people that maybe don't like the details as much. If you are suffering from any of these particular sentences, right, then you should get in touch. You're welcome to call Jessie. Jessie will get you in touch with me. You can call me. I think we have our contact information coming up. But if your current system requires a lot of touching and moving and filing of documents, I betcha document management will not only solve that process, but help your company save time and money, right? If your approval processes are manual and inefficient, right? So you've got an invoice process that's paper-based, let's talk, because I betcha we can really help you with that particular process and drive efficiency, right? Number 3, are you spending a lot of time doing data entry and you're on the cusp of having to hire someone, right? Or the growth percentage of your company is going to require that you add headcount? Let's talk, because there's a natural ROI for you there as well. When we talk about data entry, there are 2 distinct processes. It's either non-PO based invoices, where we want to try and do some automated coding, right? That's going to shave down time on data entry. If you're in the manufacturing process or distribution and you're selling product, you know, and you're buying product based on line item information, then you're probably spending a lot of time doing PO matching, right? Invoice comes in and you're wanting to match it to the receiving information and the purchase order information. There's lots that we can do. We can take a small conservative approach, right? Or we can do full-on automation with OCR and automated PO matching. The sky's the limit, right? It just depends on where you are as an organization. All right, so we talked at the top of the hour about how can documents impact everyone in the organization. So I want to share this with you because depending on where you are in the organization, there's probably a different influence as to, you know, where your area of focus is going to be. Also, if you are in a position of presenting an ROI to the executive team or to, you know, the management team, then it's helpful to know, you know, what those people are going to find important. So we can certainly support you through that if you like as well. The light bulb moment, right? So we've been talking a lot about the ROI as it relates to paper-based processes, right? And we've kind of been showcasing it through the lens of accounts payable. Here's the big win for you. With DocLink, the exact same modules that you purchase for AP automation can be used in other areas of the company as well. So it doesn't matter if you want to put an HR application through an approval process, it's the same thing. We consider that just a workflow, right? Maybe you want contracts. You want to be triggered or alerted when a contract is expiring so that we can put that into a particular workflow, right, or business process to raise visibility that that contract needs to be expired or needs to be renegotiated, right, before it expires. Look over here on the upper right-hand side, the quote to check or the sales order processing side. This can be huge for companies as well because it's all about tracking, number one, the quote that's going out to the customer, and then also having visibility of when that particular customer PO comes in. Does it match to the quote? Is what's on that customer PO actually an inventory? Do we need to have that customer PO routed through a series of departments before we can actually create a sales order? right? Plus, at the end of the day, we're really wanting to unify all those documents together for easy search and retrieval. Search and retrieval by quote number, sales order number, all documents by customer, perhaps by item number, right? So all of these, you know, really become what's the document, how is it produced, which tells us the capture methodology, and then what do we want to do with it? Send it out, put it through a business process internally, transact it in the Sage application, or simply store for search and retrieval, right? Those become our questions. All right, so how are we doing, Jesse, on timing? We're here at the end. Happy to open it up for any Q&A. Hopefully you got some of those folks responding back in terms of the ROI calculator. Let's open it up for a little bit of dialogue. Any questions?
Perilyn, you're so mesmerizing that there aren't any questions right now, but we did get some requests for ROI calculators, and I'll definitely be getting those over to you so you can follow up. As I'm closing up, I'm seeing we do have a question come in now. Okay, so it's a little complicated. It's going to be a question from Tony, and Tony, we're gonna take that one offline, and we'll get back to you on that. It's a little more involved than just a simple throw over to Perry Lynn. So don't worry, we got your question, and we'll take care of that. But other than that, I think we are good to go, Perry Lynn. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I hope today everyone was a little bit inspired, right? Just about kind of relooking at their own business processing and finding out those financial implications. And hey, listen, just reach out, let me know, call Jesse, and then, get in touch with me, and we'll try and see if we can help you with streamlining processes and going digital.
Absolutely. Sounds good. We'll be in contact with everyone. Thank you so much, Perry Lynn, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And
all right, take care, Jesse.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.